haven't already, would you mute your microphones? I'm going to be moving back and forth between admitting people and getting us started here. For those of you who don't know me already, my name is Will Johnson. Let's begin. What I invite you to do is to sit down. Sit down. Now, you may choose to sit on a chair, you may choose to sit on a kneeling bench, you may choose to sit on supportive cushions on the floor. But, you know, the practice is about sitting, it's about sitting down. As I've often said, I'm very grateful. I've had the benefit of studying with Vipassana teachers, Zen teachers, Vajrayana teachers. I was never personally drawn to affiliate myself with anyone, school or lineage. And I just preferred to focus on the denominator that was common to all of them. And that's, we sit down. We sit down. And in my life, what I've worked towards is finding simple principles that make the sitting down not only immeasurably more comfortable, but whoa, allow the revelations of the Dharma to enter into the human body so much more easily. So we start just by sitting down. Make sure that your pelvis is situated a bit higher than your knees. That's what will give a wonderful solid base of support for the upper body, just to float above, okay? Now, obviously, if you're sitting with a kneeling bench, yes, your pelvis will be higher than your knees. The same thing is true, though, if you're sitting on supportive cushions on the floor, and especially also if you're sitting on a chair. If you're sitting on a chair, I'm going to ask you to sit way out at the front of the chair. You know, don't just kind of fall back into it as we normally do. You know, this is a different quality of posture relaxation that we're bringing into our bodies here. So you sit out at the front of the chair, and you may have to add some supporting cushions to raise your pelvis up so that it indeed is higher than your knees, and then your feet are just planted on the floor. Kneeling bench, you've got that. Sitting down cross-legged. You know, many of us prefer this traditional posture. You're wanting to have a very, very soft supporting cushion, not necessarily a pancake thin zabuton. And then you're going to want to have cushions, traditional zafus, bolsters, underneath your pelvis, raising your pelvis to a level higher than your knees. So for me, the sitting down is the meditation. It's not that I sit down to meditate. The sitting down and invoking, inviting some of these altogether natural, somatic, really principles, bodily principles, breath by breath by breath. The practice simply happens, it simply occurs. So what I do really is teach sitting. Following some of these simple principles, the sitting becomes a mudra, where, you know, the opening, the transformation, the healing has no choice but to begin. As we sit, let's play with a little, what I call a somatic koan. Not the Rinzai koans that you struggle with your mind, but ones that you have to play through your body. So I want you to sit as tall as you possibly can be. Okay, right now, sit up tall and see what you have to do. You have to stretch, you have to strain, you have to, gain height. I'm pressing down on my knees, height, okay? So sit up as tall as you can be, but add this, but as relaxed as you can be. So that kind of straining, preening for height doesn't work. What we have to do is just start playing with upright balance. How tall can I be? How relaxed can I be? Now, the quality of relaxation that I promote, and this really comes straight out of the 11th century Mahamudra, seminal Mahamudra teacher Tilopa. He gives the whole of the instructions in one pithy sentence. Do nothing. Do nothing with the body, but relax. So after I kind of invoke this feeling place where I feel tall, but relaxation is coming through, then I take the relaxation a step deeper. Every single cell of the body can awaken and relax. So you can put your awareness up into your head. There's a feeling presence up here, yeah? It's kind of strange, funny, spacious, shimmery a little bit. Feel that you relax. You feel it through your forehead, the sides of your head. So body awakens, and then you relax through your entire face, your crane. Whoa, down through the throat, the neck, the shoulders. Wherever you turn your attention, there is a quality of feeling presence. Sensation. It may be dull, it may be sharp, it may be painful, it may be pleasurable. It may be numb, because ordinarily we block out the awareness. But if we are truly going to open to this practice of rising and falling, we have got to awaken the body. Almost like water flowing down your arm, out your fingers. You just run your awareness. And it's not so much that you're trying to create sensation to arise. You're just invoking the sensation that's there to come to life. And then you meet it with an immediate gesture of relaxation. Now, I've taken Tilopa seriously to mean that we are wanting to invoke the quality of relaxed, awakened presence. Relaxation has a shimmer and a feeling to it. Putting your awareness through your torso. The whole of the rib cage, the front, the back, the sides. Whatever sensation is there. Maybe one side feels, I like that sensation. The other side, a little cramped. Be with it. Sometimes you can relax tension just by a gesture of letting go. And we're not forcing relaxation. Moving down into the belly, through the diaphragm, the lower back. Down through the pelvis. The legs, invoking relaxation. Now, the most radical piece that I bring to the Dharma conversation is my insistence that if we really want to open to the innate relaxation and the qualities of embodied consciousness that comes through being able to do that, then as we continue to relax, as we continue to play with the upright, everything moves. If you're in a frozen straitjacket, you're breathing, it's like waves up against a jetty, it slams. But if we relax, everything starts to move. Everything can move. So let's go right back down into your belly. Put your awareness in your belly. Now, even in the stillest of bodies, when breath comes in and breath goes out, there is a motion at the front belly wall. And this was called rising and falling. The belly rises, it expands on the inhalation, it retracts, it comes in on the exhalation. You're not doing anything. Oh, you could force it to be stronger, but don't play there. Just be with it. Often just being with the quality of breath that you feel in your belly. And yeah, at first you feel, not much movement. Oh, it's a little tight over there. Just being with it. Watch as breaths can go on and go on and go on. And things start releasing. Or certainly that's what happened for me in the very first Buddhist retreat I ever did in my early 20s. I mean, this is 50 years ago, with a lovely, lovely Thai monk. It was a practice. We did 7 days, rising and falling. Classic Theravadan mindfulness practice. You know, the very first instruction on breath that the Buddha gives. His first instruction, remain aware as you breathe in, remain aware as you breathe out. Then he says, do that at the front of the body. Many people will focus on the nostrils. I much prefer going down into the belly because ultimately we're really wanting to drop our center of gravity from the thought-ridden head down into more stable belly. Now, initially, the instructions called for an observation of breath, which would mean kind of an observation from the mind, sort of looking internally down at your belly. You can almost see a picture of it. And yeah, there it goes out on the inhale, there it comes back in on the exhale. It's fine, that's where we start. But after doing this practice for quite a bit of time, you don't have to have the separation of an observer up here and an event to be observed down here. You're just with the feeling presence in the belly. And you can just start surrendering, opening the feeling presence that wants to expand out through, well, certainly your lower torso, with this particular practice of observing rising and falling in this one location in the body. So you can just feel in to the belly the way we did when we just very briefly took our awareness through our bodies, kind of extending an invitation to sensation, the shimmer, the flicker, to let its presence be felt. And as soon as it accepts the invitation, this gesture of letting go and relaxation. So truly we do that through the whole body. At this stage of the practice of rising and falling, we don't lose the awareness of the whole body, but the belly becomes the centerpiece. Just feel into how the belly can be felt to rise, expand, project outwards. On the inhalation and on the exhalation, it just comes back. So there's this constant motion. constant motion. That motion's been going on the whole time. It's always there, even in the stillest, most frozen of bodies. And what I'm going to suggest that you do now, just as a way of contrasting, really freeze, really tighten your belly. Don't let any motion occur there. And stay with watching what's happening there, feeling what's happening there. Well, what just happened to the breath? Can the breath get kind of strangled? So you let that go. And there's rising and falling. Rising and falling. Now, if you are playing, or if you are approaching sitting meditation as a venue, an opportunity to explore, what I call the dance of balancing. In other words, if you're going to approach your posture, not like a stone garden statue, focusing, intense, but we're wanting to raise the sitting that you do to a level of immensely greater comfort, because we're alive, we're awake, we're letting go in our sitting. So if we want to play with this dance of upright balancing, inevitably what starts happening with the rising and falling of the belly, we feel that motion that's created in the belly starting to kind of radiate out. That motion is like a wave, like the force behind a wave. You know how a wave moves through a body of water? Well, this motion that's initiated in the belly, okay, just starts wanting to make its way through the joints of the body. And in truth, that's what happens if the body is playing with this dance of upright balancing and we're relaxing. That's what the Buddha says this. First instruction on meditation, sit with the spine erect and upright. Talopa, everything relaxes. Ultimately, the Buddha says, don't just observe the breath. Experience how you can breathe through the entire body. So it's not just a belly that's moving. Maybe this motion is going to start spreading through more and more of the body. So let yourself be as tall as you can be without preening. Invoke relaxation. The more relaxation I invoke, the more the belly really rises and falls. And then let's start being open to how that rising and falling in the belly can cause motion, consequent motion, subsequent motion to occur through the rib cage, right up into the shoulders. And that's not motion. It's not motion that you create in any way. It's just a motion that you allow. Because remember, we're relaxing. We're letting go. We're not trying to hang on, for dear life and force our mind back into a narrow object of attention. No. This is about awakening. Buddha means to awaken. We're awakening. Body from its long slumber. Long slumber. The sensations come alive. As soon as I let go, there's more tingle, shimmer, percolation. So see how as you allow your belly to rise and fall, it's really an expansion and a retraction of the lower torso. See now how that motion, if you're really relaxed, you can feel it kind of making its way right up into your shoulders. If I let go of my shoulders, what do? Do they stay totally held, still, and rigid? No. They probably start moving in response, and you have no idea how they're going to move because we're kind of unwinding some of this tragically held pattern of holding, quality of holding that we all succumb to, just by virtue of being born into a culture that's many wonderful features, and its imposition of the awakening of these energies and the awakening of the consciousness that accompanies the awakening of the energies, the palpable shimmer, presence of the body. Culture didn't want you to go near that. Okay, we're more for staying lodged, within the quality, frankly, of being lost in thought. So that's a lot of what we're shifting here. Okay. So yeah, and look, in the beginning, what you're really going to come up against is, wow, yeah, I'm finally giving myself permission just to let nature, relax nature, make its way through my body. Okay, finally doing that, but it's not what I'm finding. I'm feeling tension here, and tension here, and tension here, and I might as well be a stone garden statue of the Buddha. This is how the practice begins. It's okay. We just keep playing with the upright, invoking relaxation, rising and falling. Now, if we're really opening to the rising and falling, you might even be feeling this. And if you're not, play with this, explore it a bit. What happens if in coordination with the rising, okay, the expansion forward on the inhalation, you actually also kind of rock forward over your pelvis. And then rock backwards. The exhalation. Now, what's interesting about this rocking motion, very quickly you're going to get this is not so much something that you do, but something that you're allowing if you're really relaxing and letting go. Pelvis rocks forward on the inhalation, back. There's actual motion there. How is that emotion? How is that motion initiated? You just let go. You quit bracing against yourself, fighting yourself, and also fighting the gravitational field. So much of the common, all too common pain for meditators who do long retreats is, pain in the lower back down into the sacrum, into the hips. And it is largely a function of freezing that part of the body. Look, you can even freeze your hips right now and still feel some rising and falling going on. Yeah, try it. But now, let go down through the pelvis, down through your hips at the onset of inhalation, and naturally you rock forward a little bit. So there is this rocking motion that can occur. It's altogether natural. I love the notion in Dzogchen teachings of Rigpa, the natural state. In many ways, the quality of consciousness that passes as normal, it's the altered state because we resist what's so natural when bodies truly relax and let go. Okay, now let's add some more to the puzzle here. Another piece. At the onset of inhalation, what I'd like you to start experimenting with is just letting go through your body, just surrendering the weight of the body to gravity in such a way that, watch this in a second, your head's going to fall forward, and then so much air comes in, it'll start lifting, the exhale, and the head stays in motion, kind of like this. Yeah, just like that, okay? Play with that for a little bit. The onset of inhalation, you quit holding your head, drop it. Drop it. Buddhist teachers talk about dropping the mind. Drop your head. The onset of this inhalation. Oh, it doesn't fall off because so much air comes in. There's a buoyancy. There's almost like this hydraulic lift. That could be felt coming through the upper torso, and it cushions it and lifts it back and slightly, and it keeps circling. The onset of inhalation, it's not only the physical head, it's the holding inside the head that sustain lost in thought. Right in the middle of the cranium. In the long practices that I teach you, we work definitely awaken the body, awaken these altogether natural motions. And then really explore the cranium for all the tensions that keep us locked in the quality of thought that every one of us who's involved in this call, we're here because, we're a little aware of that, and it seems kind of limiting, if not, in fact, maddening. So we just drop the head at the onset of inhalation. Playing with the upright balance. How tall can I be? How relaxed can I be? Well, how tall can I be? You don't just go up and stay there. It's always moving, right? Okay. Now, do both of those together. At the onset of inhalation, not only do you rock forward over your pelvis, but you drop your head. You let go through the whole body, and the breath just comes in. Pure talopa. Do nothing with the body but relax it. You rock forward over the pelvis, the head drops on the inhalation. You rock a bit backward. On the exhalation, and the head completes its circle. So we have the two ends of the spinal spectrum. And what starts happening when these motions occur? What happens is that the spine has no choice but to start undulating, start moving. Look, spine, 23 individual bones, joints between the bones of the spine, no different from joints anywhere in the body. They're there, designed for one purpose and one purpose only, and it's to move. But if you really start examining yourself, and we really start examining, what we're doing as humans, partly to really stay kind of locked in this lost in thought consciousness, one thing we have to do is freeze the spine. We have to freeze the whole body. But just see as you rock forward and drop the head at the onset of inhalation. Ooh, the spine kind of, unwinds a little bit. It uncoils. It's natural. It's not like you're trying to do anything. You just let go. Expansion, lengthening. And a shortening. Kind of settles on the exhalation. Nothing could be more natural. But what this practice does, it really exposes us. I've been working with this stuff for decades now on myself. It exposes us to where unconsciously we ain't moving. We're holding on. We're, in a sense, buying into the antithesis of Tilopa's instructions. And every place that we hold on creates a venue for that consciousness of being lost in thought to take up residence and kind of harden there. So this practice, yes, it's about, having some, shifts in perspective about kind of how reality is constructed and what this is. But it's also about the personal, physical and emotional healing of the vessel, of the body. Okay. This is the practice I call undulating breath. Rocking forward and back at the pelvis, circling, the dropping, the circling backwards and up of the head. And then the natural undulation and motion through the spine. And what this leads to is on the inhalation, you feel a lengthening, a rising, if you will, of the entire body. When you're standing, it really goes down into the earth and up through the top of the head. When we're sitting like this, you feel this lengthening, almost the onset of inhalation. You really keep letting go. The force goes down, it goes up, and you actually rise up a bit. The inhalation, you drop down, you fall a little bit. Now, it's interesting for me, the phases of inhalation and exhalation, when, my system really gets this. The motion happens throughout the entire phase. It's not as though, there's a lot of motion and then the breath continues. No, it goes, ultimately all the way through, all the way through. And the same thing with the exhalation. But what we're doing here is a different level of the rising and falling that I was exposed to in that very early retreat. And also, don't misunderstand, it was a wonderful retreat. At the same time, it was done in a very, very rigid body. So the effect of this was a kind of the practice of perfect mindfulness. That's the Buddha's first instruction. First, he says, sit up straight, explore the line. Then he says, start becoming aware of the breath as it enters and leaves the body. A lot of schools and traditions, it's right around the nose, can create very strong concentration of mind. Okay, this is mindfulness. This is the beauty of mindfulness. Very pristine awareness. Now, most of the Buddhist schools that work with breath begin with that instruction and end with it. That really becomes the whole of their practice. And in truth, I remember at that retreat 50 years ago on the seventh day, I didn't want to leave. I said, hey, I should just keep doing this. The instructions, however, do not end there. In a few short sentences, the Buddha spoke in a kind of crazy-making shorthand, right? So you have to read in. But a few sentences later, altogether remarkable statement. As you breathe in through the whole body, not just aware of breath somewhere out in the front of the body, looking. As you breathe in through the whole of the body. As you breathe out through the whole body. So for me, my understanding of that's straight from what's called the Satipatthana Sutta, one of the earliest texts of Buddhism, whose words are sometimes attributed to the historical Buddha himself. It's right there. Start, perfect the mindfulness. Don't stop there. Awaken the body. Go into body fullness, Full, full of breath, full of awakened sensation. So in the practices that we do, what we're doing here, we're certainly inviting more awakening. Certainly, through this incarnation that happened. The Buddha means to awaken. Buddha means to awaken. The sensations are asleep. We don't feel them. We numb them over. We stop the breath. We create holding intention. We have to do that to kind of function lost in thought, which is, let's be honest, not, I was going to say not all that uncommon. That's foolish. It's so common, in all of us. And somehow intrinsically, inherently, we know there is something else available to us here where that just kind of goes pop. Oh, and there's presence, but it's not claustrophobic and tied up with concepts, identifying with the speaker of the mind, all those thoughts. Rising and falling. Starting with rising and falling in the abdomen. But graduating to rising and falling through awakening the body. So there can be motion, amoeba-like motion, rising, falling. Everywhere. And then for me, the practice becomes, it's always being aware. Oh, there's a place that I'm holding still. Oh, there's a thought form wanting to come in that's coming in with gravity. Okay, experience it, feel it, invite it to make its presence known, and just keep letting it go. That to me is Tilopa's practice. As best you can, whatever comes, relax it. Whatever manifests with a holding quality. Gradually, I know that, those of us who've been, working with these practices, we start experiencing that place of lost in thought, or even that place of egoic perspective. We ordinarily think that's who I am, all right, arises through a pattern of holding intention in the cranium that we're not even aware of because we're so accustomed to be functioning in that condition of consciousness. Rising and falling, tension emerges, you let it go. Pure Tilopa. And gradually, breath by breath, hour by hour, day by day, more and more of kind of the wetsuit quality of the body. There's places that don't seem to move very much, right? They. Breath kind of touches into them because it makes us aware of what we're doing, where we're holding, we're resisting. And without any kind of forcible, breath action, the breath just kind of leans into, touches into those places of holding. So it kind of releases a lot of the restriction, kind of from the inside out, much the same way that body workers, hands, will touch you from the outside in. Anyway, we've been sitting for 45 minutes, good long set. Thank you for this. Now, I had thought with this, meditation to open it up to any questions people have, as I sent an email about what we're doing here today, about any of your practices, really about anything. And I'm wondering how I can best do that. I'm wondering if, do all of you know how to send a chat? Send me your name as a chat, and I'll scroll through here and find out how to unmute you. I think that will work. Anybody out there? Okay. Dick. Okay. Wardo. Okay. Okay, let's find who was a second. Oh, you can unmute yourselves. Hallelujah. See, I'm a shade over 30 years old, so this is all still new to me. Anybody, go ahead and unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Thank you, Will. I've been following your teachings, and I love your analogies and metaphors. They help me quite a bit. Thank you very much.
Now, con gusto, did you want to ask anything, or thank you, for sharing that? I appreciate it. Who else? Go ahead, someone. Let's play here. Let's have some fun.
I have a question.
Sure. Who is this? What is your name?
My name is Franca.
Okay.
Excuse me. dropping the head and rocking forward as we breathe in, and that cycle, that flow. I wonder if you would be willing to show us the side view of you doing it and to talk a little bit more about it, because I found it was a little hard for me to understand, to grok it, to get it.
Yeah, I'm wondering how to do that. I mean, you can see my, you see me from the front here. Yeah, okay, look at it. I'll just turn to the side and you're going to see how much you see.
Yeah.
But you'll be able to see what I do with the head. Let's see. Okay, so the head kind of stays bobbing, yeah? I don't know. I'm assuming that shows up as something, does it?
I can see it. I can see the
So,
motion
so
now.
it's like this bobbing
Yeah.
and rocking that is what happens naturally when you give yourself permission to let go. So, for me, the practices are less about attempting to develop or attain, strong concentration or any kind of state. They're just about letting go. That's Talopa again. Do nothing but relax. You just let go. So that's why I pretty much, someone just came in. That's why I pretty much want people to play with this. This is what I call the line. Out of the infinite number of sort of spatial coordinates, there's only one right here, the vertical, that allows you to start letting go. If you're here living in a body like this, you can't let go. Okay? So it's playing with the upright line. That's what the Buddha said. Play with your spine erect and upright. It's tragic to me that so much of the Buddhist practice in Southeast Asia, people are sitting in very collapsed bodies and they revere that sutta. Okay? So, we play here and we just let go. And then these altogether natural motions start happening.
Will, this reminds me of a jellyfish moving.
We used that analogy in the year-long intensive that we just finished up. We called ourselves for a while the Jellyfish Sangha. It's very organic, it's very motile, it's very user-friendly. Because let's be honest. Most of us have sat through Vipassana retreats and Zen sesshin or Vajrayana datums. As wonderful as they are, we'll often report that at times it felt like masochistic misery because there's just so much rigidity, brittleness, dryness, and that's what in my hope and vision. That's what we in the West are going to reform and revive. There will be a Western form of the Dharma. It has to be. Every time it's moved, it's different, right? So in Japan, the practices are different from Tibet. They're different from Southeast Asia. And the same thing will happen here. And from my perspective, it simply has to be this reawakening of more of a jellyfish quality rather than, a dry, dead log. Because we find that holding, what does that holding intention do? It creates pain in the body. Those of us who sat like stone garden statues, through long retreats know the intensity of the pain that comes. Yeah, it comes. And it, you go through what you go through. And the Dharma is going to dredge up from the surface, the deep surface. So much of what we've repressed and held and resisted. So it comes up and we let it go. It doesn't need the unnecessary helping of rigidity from the outside, from the outside in. So, yeah, as I say, my vision, my hope is that this Western Dharma, it's going to, as I say, not only make our time on the cushion immeasurably more comfortable, you go so much deeper into the revelations of the, the practice. And I really sincerely, believe that if the Dharma world, if we don't get this, I mean, who's going to continue to sign up for an approach to spiritual practice that is kind of physically miserable? It can make, and unnecessarily so. That the Dharma will just keep stumbling into kind of irrelevancy or only be known in elite circles. But if it's we can approach those extraordinary wisdom teachings in a body that actually follows some of those teachings. Sit with the spine erect and upright. Do nothing but relax. Breathe through the whole body. I didn't make any of those up. Those are from the traditional teachings. But if we can actually start doing that, we're going to create something extraordinary over here in the West. At times in a more strident part of me, I've called for we need to have a reformation of the Buddhist Dharma, because that holding still, pain stops the breath, creates more mind. It's the antithesis of what the Dharma is supposed to, how it's supposed to affect us. Now more and more I just see, we're wanting to be involved in the creation of a uniquely Western Dharma that honors the wisdom teachings. But I don't know where the Dharma went off the tracks and painted itself into this corner of frozen stillness. But yeah, it's time for us here in the West, the somatic movement, awakening, the dance movement. Time to awaken. So yeah, good for the jellyfish. Who else? Go ahead.
Well, I've got a question that kind of plays off of Franca's question. You said that as we breathe in, there's an arising in the body, and yet you also have the head dropping forward. And Judith Aston's pelvic rock, basic pelvic rock, as you breathe in, your pelvis turns down and your head goes back. And I'm not quite sure as I tried it, my head didn't want to drop forward. It wanted to go more upright.
So, okay, wait, what happens to your pelvis at the start of that breath?
It rocks forward.
It rocks forward. But the head goes up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that is what happens. But what I'm adding to that is even letting go more deeply through the body at the onset of inhalation. Just take this one line as the whole of your practice. At the onset of inhalation, I'm just going to surrender the entire weight of my body to the to the force of gravity. The head goes down before it goes up. Now look, Judith. Judith is an old colleague and friend of mine, and I really honor her she was my first teacher of, everything's supposed to move. Okay. So sure. Studying with Judith is a wonderful, wonderful thing. One of my all-time favorite. To me, she was the other genius of the Rolf world, other than Ida. But I'm just trying to, I guess if you're holding your head kind of rigidly in your neck, it doesn't necessarily have to, and also if you're sitting a little bit behind yourself. In other words, this is the sitting, I can sit up as tall as I can be, and I put my hands on my knees and rock even a little bit behind myself. I feel the level of the diaphragm moving forward. And I guess if I stayed there, relaxing keeps me there. And then the head just really bobs up and down. I want to come more over my body. And then for me anyway, it goes down, it goes up. And look, I'm throwing a lot at you in a short period of time, this notion of undulating breath. And to me, it's central to the practices that I teach, because it's going to give you the skill set to start understanding how to let go, right? But in the beginning, it can seem, kind of artificial. I'm sort of doing, I guess, for me, this exhale really does collapse. Here, an exhale really doesn't collapse. I don't get the exhale all the way down. Play with it and see what goes on for you. Therese,
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah, shoot.
I experience discomfort in my middle back while we're doing this, over time. Is that a function of the upright, like not staying upright, or what do I do with that? Do I just?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's honestly hard for me to know exactly what to say, because I'd really like to. Well, actually, I don't know. Let me see if I can find a picture of you. I mean, we've got so many people. I don't think everybody's going to come up in a gallery.
No, I don't think I show.
Okay. Okay, let me just see here. I'll go back to me. Spotlight.
I can see your room, Teresa, but I can't see you.
Yeah, and I don't know how to put me on.
Now, it's a couple of things. Is the middle of your back, it's kind of where the thoracic vertebra meet the lumbar vertebra, or more kind of up towards the shoulder blades? Where is it getting?
No, it's in the middle of the back, kind of to my right-hand side.
Right. So is that a chronic? Is that a chronic place for you? Is that a place?
No, it just shows up when I'm sitting, when I'm for periods of time.
It's interesting. A lot of what we're doing here, and I've been doing this for a while, so I can sit here and it looks like I'm kind of floating and bobbing along, right?
Yeah.
But in the beginning, the example that I remember, growing up, there would be these spring softball leagues that 30, 40, 50 something people, we'd want to join the gas station softball league, and it's all exciting. You go out in the springtime and that first night, and you're hitting the ball and you're throwing it, and the next morning you wake up and you feel like you've been run over by a truck, right? And even though what we're doing here is unleashing relaxation, it's still, the body isn't used to, frankly, to this much giving up of control and finding, I'm thinking of the Course in Miracles line, in my defenselessness, am I just giving it up? That's where the security and the safety is. It's not, it's not here. Now, what also happens with these practices, and especially in the beginning, the first times you run through, your places that you probably aren't aware of, but are there. They're down a couple layers. They're going to start coming up to the surface, and for some people, it can be real physical discomfort. This is also what the somatic therapies, the somatic experiencing, or the Hakomi people do so well. They direct your attention to places in your body, and suddenly, oh my God, I had no idea that. Ooh, what is that? Some of those places are very physical. Some of those places really store emotional content. And, for me, the practice is, if whatever comes up is exactly what's supposed to come up, or it wouldn't be coming up. And as I said, playing, letting go. letting go of the straitjacket through these practices, transformation starts occurring. Things that you haven't been wanting to experience and to repress come right up to the surface. We're going to have to, move through all of them. What do we do with them? You breathe.
Okay.
You breathe and you feel. And what you can do whenever, everybody, I know we've been sitting around now, but even just sitting right now, just take a breath and somehow breathe that breath right up into that place where you feel the most pain. And think of that painful sensation while it is manifesting through your body as the outer layer of a balloon. And your body is just an empty balloon. So when you breathe right into that place. And, Teresa, what we're talking about here would be breathing right into that place. What is that, on the right side of the spine? Kind of around it where, the diaphragm comes in.
Yes.
Breathe right, right into that place. And two things. Yes. One, just kind of lean into it. Guaranteed that place is very, very still. It's not moving.
Okay.
Just being in there. So breathe. That's what the chronic pain usually comes out. And we find that it's just clenched. Remember, we're talking about the notion, Buddha says, breathe through the whole body. Everything could be very amoeba-like. But then we've got these clenched places, and they're the ones that, that emerge. So breathe into that and actually cause motion to occur there. See what happens. Your body may have to torque. It may have to, this isn't necessarily even anymore just working in the frontal plane. Okay.
Yes,
yeah,
that's useful. That's useful.
Yeah, thank you. Who else? I'm enjoying.
Me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have found, getting back to the pain, that before I ever started to do this practice, I was in terrible chronic pain. And now, because of what you have just described, Will, in terms of bringing the focus of awareness to those places that are chronically rigid, you might say, that everything starts to loosen up. And like this morning, I was noticing I'm not in any pain at all. And later on today, we'll take a 5-mile walk and do all kinds of exercise that might, tighten things up. So it helps to do another practice of doing hollow bamboo breathing and noticing everything loosens up again. So, I'm part of the group that just ended doing it over the past year. And my chronic pain is basically workable. I can work it out with exercise, going to body work, doing different things that are self-care oriented. And we need to place certain things in our problem solving repertoire, as it were, to work things out in the way that we find works for us. That's all.
Yeah, I feel this, this practice is so much about self-healing. That's what I feel spiritual practice is. It's about healing. I mean, if it's just having a glimpse of a transcendent reality and in this moment you feel miserable, that to me doesn't, that's not what I'm after. And there's something about, it's the sitting practice. There's something about sitting. The Vajrayana is so different from Zen. The Vipassana is so different from the Vajrayana, but they're all sitting. They're all sitting. Suzuki Roshi says that. It's the posture. It's sitting. That's all that the practice is about. So what we're doing here, what I'm attempting to do here, because I've had to, dealing with, I'm attracted to sitting, but there's all this unnecessary pain and distraction. Oh, I'm not relaxing. I'm not letting go. That kind of thing. So, we play here. This is really about awakening body. Now, look, there's a lot of good reasons that we're out of touch, literally out of touch with what I call the shimmer, the awakened feeling presence of the body. Nothing could be more natural. It wants to buzz and tingle and vibrate and wavelet itself and, ebb and slosh around. But, we're like this, holding that in so we can, function. The center of gravity of modern humans, Western humans, is way up here. You ask someone where they are, they'll say, well, up here in their thoughts, not down here in the feeling presence, centered in the belly and spread through the whole of the body. So we're in a sense reversing that. And the first thing you feel as we're talking to her is sometimes the pains come out. Oh, so that's what I haven't wanted to feel. I remember many years ago, someone came to me and said they wanted me to help them feel. Well, fair enough. So try this, try this, try this. And then they really started feeling what was there to be felt, and they realized why they hadn't wanted to for so long. Because it's not just the shimmer like soft falling rain. Oh, the shimmer comes out and we awaken. That's kind of the candy. That's what hooks people to that practice, because the awakened shimmer, not only does it feel immensely better, but oh my God, I'm starting to get some insights, aware, there's a different dimension or way of being in the world. So you have the shimmer. So it's like the numbness leads to the shimmer, but what does the shimmer lead to? And I got into this in the new section in the second edition of the Posture of Meditation. Underneath the shimmer is what I call the primal contraction. Someone's coming back in. And this, the primal contraction is where we've, every time we haven't wanted something, we haven't been open to this free flow of the life force just to come through us. I'm in a situation, something happens and I can't handle it. And I certainly can't let that emotion come up in the social circling. And so what do? But it doesn't go away. It doesn't disappear and go poof. So it goes down. So these deep kinds of pains and holdings emerge. This is where the courage is needed for this practice, because you're really taking on an extraordinary process of self-healing, not just trying to get a little more aware or not just be a little more spiritual. I'm talking about a real, healing and transformation of human being. And God knows the planet needs it. And each and every one of us, I don't know, aren't you kind of tired of feeling sort of numb too much of the time? And oh, that chronic pain, and damn, that thought stuff just keeps rattling around. There's nothing that's a conventional place. And we have to learn how to function, in the world of form. But unless we open to the other dimensions that are available to us, for me, it just gets unsatisfactory. So it's, it's like that. Yet, it's interesting. And I recognize the voice. That was Kate. I've been saying to a number of the people in last year's year-long intensive, I wish we had taken selfies at the beginning of the year, because by the end of the year, everybody's head and face looked different to me. And what I saw was kind of a widening. And I guess that's just in some of the letting go of the tension we can feel, certainly in the cranium, but what we're doing here today with rising and falling, this undulating breath, that gives you a body that can really start letting go. Okay, my sense is we're coming to the end of our time now. And look, everybody, I start next Sunday, another year-long intensive. We'll be doing another. I'm also working with people who are interested in exploring entheogens. That seems to be a group of people that want to explore these practices with entheogenic substances, very, very small amounts. We'll be doing an introduction to that in a couple of weeks. I really encourage you to, to reach out. Now, there's plenty of space still available in the year-long intensive. I was thinking about this the other day. I hope I'm able to do this for many, many more years to come. The reality is I have no idea. I don't have no idea how much more time I have left to, I kind of want to infect the Dharma world with a virus of joy, a virus of relaxing, letting go, really healing, really creating the vehicle that gets what all those abstruse teachings that are saying there's form and there's emptiness and there's anicca, everything's changing, to have really direct experiences of what all that is. So for now, thank you, you all. I enjoy doing this with folks. Take good care, everybody. Stay safe. Lots of love, and goodbye for now.